CTV's political analyst Eric Ham joins us live now from Washington with more on the U.S. electricity tariffs. Eric, thank you for joining us. Doug Ford really trying to hit Donald Trump where it hurts. Let me begin with your thoughts on this bold move.
No, you're right. And I think what we're seeing here is Ontario is actually doubling down on these ominous threats that we have been hearing from Donald Trump for months now. And what's so striking is there are growing concerns in the United States of a looming recession that is going to hit the entire economy. In fact, we're seeing today markets are continuing to reel on this possibility of a recession. And of course, even though Donald Trump continues to double down on this idea of looming tariffs on Canada as well as Mexico, what we are seeing play out right now is this is becoming increasingly politically a disadvantage for Donald Trump. And what's so striking is amidst all of this, we are seeing right now Donald Trump's own party is struggling to fund the government with only 5 days until a potential government shutdown.
You talked about the stock markets, Eric, so let me pick up on that. You know, the market is incredibly rattled by all of this back and forth, all of this volatility, something the market hates. And yet you have the Trump administration ruling out the possibility of this recession in the U.S. Talk about that disconnect, if you can.
Yeah, that's right. And here is what's so striking. Voters elected Donald Trump because they thought he could actually handle and deal with the issue of inflation. He could bring prices down and that he could actually move the economy. And what we are seeing right now, the economy is looking increasingly more stagnant. And Donald Trump appears to actually be waving the white flag, suggesting that there's not much that he can do and not promising with his usual bluster that there will not be an economic downturn. And amidst all of that, what we're seeing right now is, again, Canada actually doubling down on Donald Trump's threats, pushing through with these tariffs and raising energy prices on Americans in key battleground states.
So coming back to Ontario, Eric, you've got the premier of this province saying, look, I want the threat of tariffs to be off the table completely. That's the only way I'll change my mind here. And he says he's willing to go one step further and cut off the Americans from a power standpoint altogether. Is that what Donald Trump needs at this point?
You know, what's so interesting is we have not heard Donald Trump specifically speak about this. We know that he continues to say that tariffs are going into effect. In fact, he's even said that tariffs could go as high as 250%. But as that's playing out, Americans are now reeling not only from the stagnation of the economy, not only from looking at their pensions and their retirements continuing to falter, but now they're struggling with higher energy bills. And Donald Trump is nowhere to be found on this. And he's not actually ruling out the possibility of actually moving forward with these tariffs. So it still looks like there is this dark cloud hanging over the United States right now with the possibility of this trade war actually elevating, not actually dissipating.
Unprecedented situation here, Eric. The U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, saying that steel and aluminum tariffs, they're coming this week. It's hard to keep up with all of the tariffs and all of the threats. How do you think this is going to impact Donald Trump's legacy? How do you think the history books are going to remember this period of time?
Well, I think it's too soon to actually write what will happen because Donald Trump still has ample time and ample room to actually reverse course on all of this. But again, it doesn't appear as though we're actually seeing that from him right now. In fact, what we know is Donald Trump is doubling down on these tariffs. And again, I think what this is all about for Donald Trump is trying to find a way to get Canada to submit to becoming a state of the United States. But again, I think what we're seeing here is Canada is actually calling that bluff and actually moving forward. And of course, it's the American consumers who are actually bearing the brunt of all of this.
Okay, CTV's political analyst Eric Ham joining us live from south of the border. Always appreciate your insights. Thank you for coming on.